because tonight we're going to begin to talk about exactly what we're doing with digital change. We will be focusing primarily on getting everything into getting your everything from this into the computer. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the actual digital audio interface, the DI, and also with how to deal with getting proper gain on a digital interface like that, or a direct interface like that, because that is where your number one problem is going to be as far as getting a good quality sound. So let's start with what I actually have. This is my audio interface. You can see me talking. That is the microphone is going into this one, and you can see my meter bouncing. It's actually bouncing a little bit in the red. We're going to bring it down just a little bit there. And so this is a Fifine, I don't know how to pronounce it, audio interface. Your audio interface may vary, but I've got an XLR, microphone in, a headphone jack there, the ability to turn on or off phantom power, which I don't need because of the preamp that this mic is running through, USB cable, and some external cables for a monitor system if I wanted to. So this is mine. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, and it allows me to get both my microphone and my guitar into my computer. So when I have the guitar turned up and I strum it, you'll see that it's lighting up because it has audio going through it. Now, the guitar I currently have plugged in, which is the Tees, does not have enough, usually does not have enough to really push it dangerously. You can see it flash a little orange there when I strum really, really hard. So that, and actually, the best thing about the Tees is that its perfect gain staging, which we'll talk about how to do it, is at full power on my interface here. So what you want to do, the first thing that you want to do, obviously, is get your interface plugged in to your computer. And if it has software that it installs with it, obviously get that installed. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to worry about getting proper drivers. Now, having said that, again, this is going to be a Windows-focused teaching time tonight. On Mac, you don't have to worry about drivers. Everything should just automatically work with direct sound. And you should be able to see it once you plug it in. It should automatically just show up, and you should be able to use it immediately inside of your inside of a Mac. If you're on Linux, good luck. There are Linux drivers usually available for most things. You'll want to check with your manufacturer on that. But we're going to stick with Windows. So Windows is kind of a beast as far as getting everything set up and working correct. So under Windows, if your device comes with its own drivers, hopefully it comes with an ASIO driver, an ASIO driver. That's what all of the rigs that we're going to look at, the Cannibal Light and also with the DAW, that's what they're going to use for the lowest possible latency for playing. If you don't have one, if it doesn't have an ASIO driver, you're not out of luck. That is not necessarily a bad thing. There are several ways you can do it. For example, the Fifine here does not have its own ASIO driver. So what we do in that case is you can use, there are several ways that you can deal with it. The first way is using a driver called ASIO for all, ASIO for all. That is an open source driver. You can download it, and it will theoretically allow you to find your interface, and will then populate it into other programs that use ASIO. In my case, I have a more complex setup in that I switch to this window. I use Voicemeeter, and for that, what I do is Voicemeeter has something similar to ASIO for all. So for mine, I have my my Fifine going through this audio chain right here. So under my Windows system, it comes up as a microphone Fifine SE1. For you, if you've got something else, if you have a Focusrite Scarlett, or maybe you're running it through one of the amps that will also work as a direct interface, they should theoretically, when you plug them in, come up under Windows as a device. If they don't come up as a device under Windows, that's where you'll have to make sure to go that you follow up with everything, do any sort of driver installations that came with it. If that doesn't work, you want to follow up with their website, reach out to somebody who may be able to give you more of a direct help. But in our case, we're assuming that when you plugged in your DI, that it came up under your operating system and can be selected. So for mine, I just have it selected here. And I know for a fact that it's on output number 4, because these are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I know my my digital audio interface is on this interface right here. So since I know it's on audio interface number 4, that's where I know my inputs are going to be. Now, you might, if you have both an audio and instrument on your interface, if you have them both, you might see them as 2 separate devices in Windows. If so, you're great. Or you might be like me, in which case my device actually is only one device. There is literally only one for both the guitar and my voice. So if you look down here, you'll notice that on the left channel, as I talk, you see that meter go way up. That's because the microphone is coming out on the left channel. You see this right channel that's kind of bouncing. That's the guitar. When I strum it, you see that going up. So I actually have both my mic and my my guitar on one channel, or on one lane. And on the left channel is the mic, on the right channel is the guitar. This might trip you up when you go to use the guitar in an actual container, like, for example, Cannibal Light, or for a DAW or whatever. I have Cannibal Light open in the background so that we can see what it's like. This is completely blank. You'll notice that all of my big, massive setup isn't here anymore, and that's fine. So the first thing that you'll do on any of these is to make sure that you've got your audio set up correctly. Now, one other thing for me, I have my output where I want my my guitar to come through on this chain right here, the one that says guitar. This happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is lane number 7. So I know that I also want it to go out on 7. So just have that in mind. So under something like Cannibal Light, you want to go look for the options in your DAW, which we'll look over Cakewalk here in just a moment as well. In this one, there's 2. You see an audio port and an audio engine. The first one you want to do is select the audio engine. Make sure that you're on some sort of an ASIO driver. As you'll see, there's a lot of options in here. WAS API is one of the possibilities on this one. The problem with that is it's not low latency. So if you use one of those, for example, I could just select this one and have my input come in. It's not low latency. So there will be lag when I go to play. You're going to want to use an ASIO for it. In my case, I'm using the Voicemeeter Potato insert. So once you have your device selected here, either directly from your ASIO. So yes, Steve, as I've already pointed out, ASIO for All is another thing that you could potentially want to use. In this case, since I'm not going over physically setting them up, I'm not going to worry about actually showing you how to set it up in either ASIO for All or Voicemeeter, or with the ASIO software that comes with your particular direct interface. That is going to be more of a one-on-one situation, because it's going to change depending on what DI you have, what operating system you have, your environmental setup, and those sort of things. So if you need help with that specifically, reach out to somebody directly on that. That's something that's not as much of a broad, this is how it's going to work together. But once you have the appropriate device selected in here, next thing we want to look over is at the ports. To hit OK to select that, because I changed the option. So under the ports here, ignore Chrome in. This is actually where I use my backing tracks. So that's actually what I've added. So you'll see my DI input on the left and right. I have them both set for N number 4 right, since I want it to be a mono mix to stereo. And for my out, I actually have it going out to both 6 and 7 for special reasons, but the important one is 7 left and 7 right. As long as these are routed to your actual like headphones or your speakers or whatever you need, as well as the N is really the most important one. So once you have the correct input connection, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my input and I'm going to run it straight to my speakers. So theoretically, whenever I strum the guitar, we're hearing it. So that's how, like I said, that's how something like Cannibal Light, I suggest, I do not want to save that. Cannibal Light, I suggest if you're wanting to build a live rig like I use, because it has all the features of a full-featured DAW as far as getting the getting your plugins and stuff on your audio chain. It just doesn't have all the recording set up, so it's not as heavy. Yeah, and so if you are completely lost, please drop questions that you may have in the chat, and I will circle back around to them. We will spend the last 10 minutes or so going over individual questions. So what we're going to look at here is, that's right, this needs to be brought down and brought back up. Hey, 2 Yards, how you doing? There we go. So we'll just go into a new project here in Cakewalk. So for Cakewalk, it's the exact same process. So under the preferences, we have devices for our audio devices and the driver settings. So under driver settings, this is where you would select which. I'm sorry, that's not the exact one I want. It is playback and recording. Sorry. So under playback and recording, here's where you can set which mode you're using. Again, you're going to want under Windows, you need to use ASIO if you're going to want to be able to hear it in real time. Cakewalk is 100% free. It sure is, Keith. Okay, so I will get Ted. That's a great question. Make sure I see that whenever I get back to the question and answer section there. So once we've selected the right driver here, we know we're using ASIO. Then we can go back into the devices, and this is where we can select them. So for our inputs, we have input and output. Okay, so for mine, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the fourth one for me. Hey, hello, Eddie. So I've got that selected. Also, I have ignored that I have this one here. I have another input that I sometimes record when I'm in here. So the important one is this one. This one is the one that we found earlier that we needed, that where the guitar comes in on, and then of course my output is on this one here. These will look different for you depending on obviously which ASIO driver you're using. But what matters for that is once you know what it is, inside of here, here's where we select which one I want. I want number 4 right, because if I don't select right, let's say I selected stereo, number 4 stereo here. Now when I'm talking, I'm doubled because, again, on the left channel is my microphone. So my microphone is on the left channel. It's coming into here. The guitar is on the right. So if I strum the guitar, you can hear it, but only on the right. So in this case, I can select just the right, and now I can talk to you all I want without doubling it. But as we can see, we're getting the guitar in there. So let's talk now really quick about gain staging. We're going to spend the next 5 minutes on that. So I alluded to it shortly when we were first coming in, and I showed you the audio interface. So if I take and hold the audio interface up here where you can see it, again, on the middle one here is where my guitar is. Right now, the guitar is turned up maximum and is on my bridge pickup. This is the T's, and the bridge is obviously the hottest pickup on this guitar. So the hottest sound that I'm going to get out of this is going to come from the position that I'm in here. I've got the volume up all the way, and I've got tone up all the way. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Weckleman. So when I strum it, you'll see I'm getting a green light. Now, your interface may or may not give you an indicator light. Hopefully it does. Anything that's at this level of quality or better, you will see this information. And when it's too loud, just like on the microphone, when I get right up on my mic and I talk a little loud into it, you see how it turns down there because I'm clipping. Same happens with the guitar side on the instrument side there. So what you want to do is you want to take your interface, and this is where everything could potentially go wrong. You will only get as clean an interface, or a clean a sound as you're going to get from the interface at this point. Everything else from here on out is going to make it more dirty. The actual DIs like this have a noise gate or a noise suppression circuit in it that works best when you have the most possible gain going through your interface without clipping it. That's exactly it, Chris. That's 100% what we're talking about. So right now, if I play this as hard as I can, you see how it's barely flickering? For me, it's only flickering in the orange. It's not even going red. So that tells me that right now, as it stands, with my guitar being as hot as it possibly can, the way I have my interface set up here is optimal, because you want it to be just below clipping. So if this was bright red, and of course the Reaper's on the other side of the room, so I can't grab it to show you what it looks like. But if this turned bright red, you'd want to take this dial and back it off until you're only getting green. If you don't see anything at all, it's too low. So right here is the perfect level for this tease. What that means is that noise suppression circuit inside of my DI is going to be activating the best it possibly can. It's going to give me the best possible noise floor from the DI into the circuit. Exactly. Anything over 0 dB is going to give you clipping, which is going to cause distortion that you might want if you're going to be playing a bunch of heavy, high gain distorted stuff. But most of the people around here, and I know myself, I like to have some articulation and not pure mud. So that's step one in your gain staging. You know that you've got your gain dialed in appropriately for your DI. Now, there are some spreadsheets out there that will tell you the exact so audio interface and DI in this case, Eddie, are the same thing. As far as terminology, there is a slight difference between the two of them, but as far as us as guitarists are concerned, those can be set interchangeably. That's a good question, Chris. So yes, what you want to do is you want to, in a perfect world, if you're not running your guitar straight into your interface, for example, if you're going to put an amp, cab, any sort of pedals or anything like that, if you're going to run anything between your guitar and your direct interface, you're going to want to run it into something else so that you can hear it first, so that you can get that entire chain dialed in, so that when you play it, it's clean and you're not hearing distortion. Or if you've got any sort of a meter that you can put on it, because unfortunately the DI can only tell you what the signal is like once it gets to it. So if you have a problem earlier in that chain, you're going to have to be able to figure it out. See you, Brant. Thanks for stopping by, man. So you'll want to figure that out first. So in your best world, if you could plug it into a speaker or something, and just, if nothing other than just play a clean channel, and make sure you don't have any sort of any breakup, any clipping or that sort of thing. In the best world, you would modify it just so that you're right below clipping, just like you're doing with your interface here, so that you have the most gain coming into it before then. So no, Eddie, that is one of those things. Gain staging is not an automated process. So that's actually what we're talking about here tonight. And so first step, like I said, is to get your DI dialed in so that it's just under clipping when you're playing as aggressively as you can, when you're hitting it with as much sound as you possibly can. If you will get it to that point, then the second step is coming in here, where if you will look at, bring this console up because it's a lot easier to see. And let's bring that window up so you can see what I'm looking at. So you'll notice over here, you can see my volume meter here on this. That's the actual channel itself. But when I'm pounding it, you'll notice I'm not clipping. I'm getting right up to that edge, but I'm not quite clipping when I do it. Probably could actually be backed off a little bit as well. So that's one way to do it if your DAW has a volume meter. Now, the way I like to do it, most of your amp and cab sims have meters themselves. And this is actually one of those things, as you move through your chain, when you add things and remove them, you want to be watching these meters to make sure your gain staging doesn't get out of whack. But when I'm in here on this, put a noise gate up so that little bit of a buzz goes away, you'll notice that there's a level meter here. Now, this is THU. THU has a great little thing. When you click on level, it brings this screen up here, which actually tells you play your guitar. Right now, it's telling me I need to raise my because it's not quite enough. You'll also notice that number 2 on the screen there is play your guitar as hard as you can. So you see how it's bouncing up into that OK region? That's what we're looking for. We want that to end up in that area. So right now, as it's set without any additional effects or anything in the way, our gain staging is set exactly where we want it to be. So when we give it something really heavy, it sounds like that. But when we back off that heaviness and give it something that is a little more clean, now you do hear a little bit of RF that's in the background there. That's because I'm setting right up on my computer. There's not really much way around that. The way I would get rid of that RF would be if I'm trying to record as clean as possible, I would actually be physically not setting right here at the computer. I would be a couple more feet away if possible. So that's gain staging and the raw basics of digital interfaces. So let's swing back around and let's take a look at some of your questions while we have a couple minutes here before Ted goes live over on TED Talks. And let's see what we had. So so what were the questions we had again? That let me scroll back and see what I missed. I know somebody had some questions they wanted to. Yeah, you do have to whack it to get it back into whack. Ted had asked about how we get the sound out into where other people can hear it, like if you're going live. So for me, I'm using OBS. This is what my OBS screen looks like. Let's go to that screen. So as you can see me 5,000 ways into the back. But what I have for OBS is I'm bringing my desktop audio in specifically on one of my voice meter channels. In this case, voice meter out B3. You'll see that there if you can see that up there. I don't know if that's readable or not. So for me, what I do is in my voice meter, my guitar comes back on this chain right here. Hey there, Sean. How you doing? So it comes out on this chain right here. So all I have to do is make sure that this particular chain is going into B3, and you can hear it when I play the guitar. So in my case, but if I take it off of that bus, if I undo B3, Okay. You guys can't hear it. Turn it back on. And you can hear it again. I can hear that at all times through my headphones because it's going through A1, which are my headphones. If I turn this off now, you guys can hear it and I can't. That's audio bus routing, which is a totally different, a slightly different topic than what we were covering tonight. But Ted did ask exactly how that works. That's how that works for mine. So if I brought my voice into my DAW, would I not need Voicemeeter? Yes and no. I absolutely could use Voicemeeter to switch back to that screen. I could use I could use my DAW for not needing Voicemeeter at all. And I don't need Voicemeeter if I'm just recording. Voicemeeter literally is because my system is set up for streaming and those sort of things. I need the ability to independently control a bunch of different levels and route them to different places. So if you're not streaming, then no, you wouldn't necessarily need that. And that's why something like ASIO for All might work better for you in that situation. This is actually... a lot of questions about these are going to be about live. There's a lot of folks who want to know about being able to use their guitars through a live digital setup like I do. So we will be kind of covering that. Now, Voicemeeter is not required for that either. You could definitely run it in other ways. For example, OBS, I could just grab that one source and have OBS deal with the levels on that source. I use Voicemeters because I also have some automation that's going on with that. So no, it's not required at all. You absolutely could get around that. All right, so we're going to try to wrap it up here so that everybody can get over to Ted's live, which is there. So yeah, we're going to call that the end of the first Tech Talk Tuesday, and next week we will go into getting your plugin chain started. So we're going to talk about the various free amp sims that are available out there and options you have on those, as well as how to set them up so that you can play both in a live container like Cannibal and also so that you can record them in something like Cakewalk. If you have questions about things that are specific for your individual setup and your individual hardware, reach out to, there's so many of us in the community that know how to do this stuff. We'll be happy to help you, or reach out to me, newbie@gmail.com. It's really my name at Gmail, and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. We will be back next week and we'll continue this on. And what I'm going to do is I'll try to cut these sessions into individual videos to make them easier to digest. But thank you very much for joining us for this first Tech Talk Tuesday, and we will see you next week.